I am certified in your program, and it's on my bucket list to have you on my podcast someday. So I truly hope that I can speak with you, or at least meet you in person. My dad was just diagnosed with tinnitus, and I have been trying to tell him about eating more whole plant foods, of course. And this might seem kind of, I don't know, this might seem kind of like a dumb question, but out of all of the groups, out of the 4 things that I think that we should focus on, right? Like the whole grains, the legumes, the vegetables, and the fruits. What do you think is the most important for somebody who is kind of unwilling to budge in their diet? Out of those 4 things, do you think that fruit is the best for anti-inflammatory, decreasing inflammation? What do you think that I can help him focus on the most?
Well, you may not like this answer because I know you'd like to have a more specific answer, but it really is the variety of those plant foods that make the big difference. It's important to have some of all of them, and we're all different too, and so everybody has their preferences. I say for fruits, obviously, grains. I mean, whole grains are better than the polished grains, obviously, or white flour, refined flour. It's the whole grains, it's the fruits, obviously the vegetables and legumes. The whole 9 yards. Everybody, if they look at that total collection of all those different kinds of foods, I think most people can find something in that collection and get a little bit of all 4. And I can't say that just eating one is going to be any special treat compared to others. I mean, if there's one in theory, scientifically, I guess, you could argue that the leafy vegetables is about as good as it gets. It's loaded with antioxidants and fiber, obviously, and they're the agents that capture the sun's energy to begin with. So it's kind of a little special in a way, the green leafy vegetables. But then you need a good source of energy too, without getting into the fat, and that goes in the grains. And if you're going to use grains, kind of stay with the whole grains. Whether it's brown rice or whole grains, mixture of them too. Staying away from added oil, that's one thing. That's not a good thing. But otherwise, a variety. I don't want to put my finger just on one thing and say, okay, that's the trick. Because most people, they don't care for all that much at the moment. If they play around a little bit, they'll find something. I think they'll like.
Thanks very much, Dr. Campbell. We're starting to bring this to a close. I've got a question for you before we jump into tonight's panel. Brian Clement says that modern fruit has been hybridized to be sweeter than it would be in nature. He says it feeds yeast and mold and fungus and cancer, and that for years they studied blood under a microscope and came to these conclusions. And I'm wondering if you agree with that.
That the modern diet, the modern plants are hybridized.
Yeah, modern fruits specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Brian quite well. He's been very active, being his wife, and have been at their place and have a great deal of admiration for what he's been trying to do over his career. I actually share some views with him on that. The hybridization is a speeding up of the evolutionary process. And evolutionary itself, took a kind of transition over time, and we all, as part of the great life system that we live in, we kind of adjusted to as we went along. The hybridization of plants is a really rapid change, even if it's natural. Take this and that. But I don't see the data yet that shows that the hybrid varieties are as big of a problem is what some people might say. Yeah, some of these hybrids are synthetic. They're GMOs. They're genetically modified, as you know. That's a different story. I don't want to include that in the bunch. I'm just talking about, cross-pollinating some foods sometimes to get a little better growth and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know whether Brian's talking about that or not.
As far as I know, just specifically about hybridized fruit, but hard for me to say specifically. Yeah.
Two kinds. One kind you do it synthetically, genetic modification. The only way you do it is kind of naturally. Because
I'm certain he's not approving of any of the GMO stuff, but I think he's seeing it in a natural way as well. So
sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have another question for you. It's coming in from Alejandro. Let's go ahead and unmute. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Campbell, for sharing your time with us and all the work that you're doing for humanity. Really appreciate it. I did read your book, The China Study. Great book. I've been studying nutrition now for about 8 years, and I'm studying to become a certified health coach. And what advice do you have for somebody that already has a good background and foundation in nutrition and plant-based eating, veganism? What advice do you have going forward for just making the biggest impact on humanity that I can as an individual?
Well, there's quite a lot of organizations now starting up around the country. Possibly might want to join one of those. My oldest son has a thing called Plant Pure Communities. There's a variety of local communities, and we at our center too now we're having an outreach actually around the world with different centers. So, and then there's a lot of friends, a lot of my colleagues have things going to join up with a community group. It's really about communities too. Work at the local level as much as possible. If you can work at the state level and be effective and you're happy about it, go for that too. But a lot of people don't care to do that. I think if you can do something, there's a lot of things you can do. I know we just gave out a bunch of micro grants around the world, actually. My daughter was head of that, the Center for Nutrition Studies, and then she had them back talking about what they're doing. It's amazing that the intrinsic talent the human beings have, especially when they get together. Everybody can think up their own way of promoting this idea. So community-based, that's big, community. And then a jumpstart. These jumpstart things, a lot of people are starting into that. Get a bunch of people, switch their diet, and you work with a physician. They need to be, have physician association with this. Put them on this diet. Let them do some labs, cholesterol and few other things. Let them do that. Do it for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks or so, and then let them see their own results. That's very effective at an individual level a lot of times, but at the same time, unfortunately, even those people don't stay on it because our whole society is so awash, in this stuff that comes out of the boob tube, and on the labels on food cans and stuff like that. My God, so it's hard to get away from it. But local level, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Work at the local level as much as possible.